What happens when a beloved late-night host comes face to face with royal entitlement gone wrong? What unfolds when years of carefully constructed public image crumble in real time on national television? Viewers got their answer last night on Late Night with Seth Meyers, when Prince Harry sat down for what should have been a routine promotional appearance, only to reveal a side of himself that left the audience stunned and the host visibly shaken. From the moment Harry walked onto the set of Studio AG, the atmosphere felt off. Seth Meyers maintained his usual warmth and professionalism, but there was an unmistakable tension radiating from his guest, something veteran crew members later described as unlike anything they'd witnessed in years of television production. Harry's practiced smile looked strained, his posture was rigid, and his eyes carried a coldness that jarred sharply with his public persona. Seth began with his typical blend of humor and respect, acknowledging Harry's recent charitable work and upcoming projects. "It's great to have you here, Harry. I know you've been incredibly busy with your foundation work and media ventures. How are you finding life in California these days?" The question, innocent on the surface, seemed to strike a nerve. Harry's reply was measured, but laced with an undertone that made the studio audience shift uncomfortably. He spoke of moving away from constraints, of finally being able to speak his truth without worrying about protocol or pleasing certain people. Seth, ever the professional, tried to steer things toward safer territory. He brought up mental health initiatives. He asked about advocacy. But Harry didn't want to talk about charity. He leaned forward, voice sharpening with each word. "You know what I'm passionate about, Seth. Truth. Honesty. Calling out hypocrisy and lies that have been allowed to fester for far too long. People think they know the story, but they have no idea what goes on behind closed doors." Even on camera, viewers could see the subtle shift in Seth's expression, the tightening around his eyes, the way his smile became more fixed. He recognized the warning signs. Harry was skirting dangerous territory, and every instinct Seth had honed over years of interviewing told him this could go off the rails. Still, he tried again. "Your Netflix projects focus on inspiring stories. Tell us about that." Harry's laugh was sharp, almost bitter. "Inspiring stories. You want to know what's inspiring? Watching people finally wake up to what institutions really are. Seeing masks fall off. Seeing the truth emerge no matter how uncomfortable it makes certain people." The audience, initially buzzing with excitement, fell silent. The energy shifted from anticipation to anxiety. Something was clearly wrong, but no one could have predicted how dark the conversation was about to become. Seth attempted another redirect. This time, Harry pushed back with venom. "Reform. You can't reform something rotten to its core. You can't polish a turd and call it gold. Some institutions need to be dismantled entirely. And the people running them, the ones protected for decades, they need to be exposed." Seth kept his demeanor calm, but the concern in his eyes was unmistakable. This wasn't the charming, media-trained Harry audiences knew. This was someone angry, resentful, and seemingly intent on using the platform to settle deeply personal scores. When Seth gently tried to shift the conversation toward Harry's family and his life in California, Harry's expression hardened. "Positive developments. You mean the way my family was treated by the institution? The way my wife was systematically destroyed by people who were supposed to protect her? The way my children will grow up knowing exactly what their grandfather's family thinks of them?" The studio froze. These weren't veiled references, these were direct, deeply personal accusations broadcast live to millions. Seth looked like he was considering cutting to commercial. He spoke more firmly now. "Harry, relationships are complicated. But maybe this isn't the right forum." "Complicated?" Harry snapped. "That's what we're calling systematic racism and institutional cruelty now. You sit here in your comfortable studio making jokes, and you think you understand complicated." His voice rose, echoing through the room. The control room buzzed with panic. Producers debated whether to pull the plug. Seth inhaled slowly, choosing his words. "We can't use this platform for unsubstantiated accusations against people who aren't here to defend themselves." That single word, unsubstantiated, hit Harry like a blow. "Are you calling me a liar? Are you saying my wife's trauma was made up? That the destruction of my family is a story I invented?" Silence swallowed the studio whole. Seth stayed firm. "This show has standards. We don't provide a platform for personal attacks. If you want to discuss your work, we can continue. If you're here to settle personal scores, we should wrap this up." Harry leaned forward, eyes blazing. personal scores. This is about justice. This is about holding people accountable. People like you, with platforms, with influence, you protect each other. For the first time, Seth's composure cracked. Genuine anger flashed across his features. I'm not protecting anyone, Harry. I'm trying to maintain professionalism. What you're doing right now, it's not brave. It's not truthful. It's cruel. The word cruel pushed Harry over the edge. His voice dropped to a dangerous, ice-cold whisper. Cruel is watching your pregnant wife be driven to the brink of suicide. Cruel is your father choosing his image over his son's well-being. Cruel is your brother participating in the destruction of your family to preserve a lie. No one in the studio moved. Even the camera operators were frozen. Seth looked pale, horrified. Harry, stop, he whispered. Just stop. This isn't helping anyone. But Harry continued, voice shaking now, not with fear, but with fury. People need to know the truth. What these institutions do. How they destroy lives to protect their precious image. My grandmother spent 70 years propping up a system that protects predators and destroys anyone who threatens their narrative. Gasps rippled through the audience. Seth looked genuinely shocked. Harry, he said, you need to stop talking. Right now. Why? Because it makes you uncomfortable. Because it doesn't fit the narrative you want to present on your nice, safe little show. Harry's voice cut through the studio air like a blade. You want to know what makes me uncomfortable, Seth? The fact that I spent 30 years of my life protecting people who wouldn't cross the street to help me. The fact that I watched them destroy my mother, and then I watched them try to destroy my wife, and I did nothing. The words began spilling out faster now, sharper, heavier, each one more explosive than the last. Seth looked like he wanted to physically stop Harry, but he also knew any attempt to intervene would only escalate the chaos. This is enough, Seth said, struggling to keep his voice even. We're going to commercial, and when we come back, we're either having a different conversation or we're ending this interview. Harry laughed, but there was no humor in it. And a different conversation. And what would you like to talk about, Seth? My charity work, my Netflix deals, my happy little life in California. All of that is built on the bones of what that institution did to my family. Every dollar I make, every project I do, every breath I take is a reminder of what they stole from me. The camera caught Seth's hands trembling slightly as he gripped his desk. Years of experience had prepared him for difficult guests, but nothing had prepared him for someone detonating their own life on live television. You're destroying yourself right now, Harry, Seth said, in front of millions of people. Is this really what you want? What I want? Harry snapped, rising again in fury, is for people to see these institutions for what they really are. For the world to understand that the fairy tale is a lie, that the people they worship are monsters, and that anyone who gets in their way gets crushed. Seth stood from his desk, a rare move for any host, and the entire studio sucked in a breath. I'm not going to let you use my show to destroy your family, Seth said. I'm not going to be part of whatever this is. We're done. But Harry's voice followed him across the studio like a curse. You're just like the rest of them, Seth. You pretend to care about truth and justice, but the second it gets uncomfortable, the second it threatens your little world, you run. You're complicit in their system. The accusation hit its target. Seth stopped walking, anger flushing through his face. Complicit. I'm complicit because I won't let you publicly humiliate your family. Because I won't give you a platform to spread poison. You came here as my guest, Harry. I welcomed you into my studio. And this is how you repay that hospitality. The confrontation had crossed a line. Everyone watching knew this would follow both men for years. Seth's voice, when he finally spoke again, carried the weight of someone pushed to his absolute limit. You know what, Harry? You're right about one thing. I do have a comfortable life. I work hard. I treat people with respect. I built something I'm proud of. But what you're doing right now, this isn't courage. This isn't truth-telling. This is a man having a public breakdown and trying to drag everyone else down with him. The words struck Harry hard, but instead of backing down, he grew more dangerous. A breakdown, Harry repeated. A breakdown is what happens when you've been pushed past your breaking point by people who were supposed to love you. A breakdown is what happens when you realize everything you believed, your family, your purpose, your entire life, was a lie. Then get help, Seth said, genuine concern flickering beneath the anger. Get therapy. Work through your issues. But don't use my show to burn down your family because you're in pain." Harry let out a bitter, hollow laugh. "Help? From who?" "The same institutions that created this mess. The same people who covered up my uncle's crimes. The same family that threw my mother to the wolves and then did the same to my wife. There is no help, Seth. There's only exposure. There's only truth." The mention of his uncle, unmistakably referring to Prince Andrew, sent shockwaves through the room. Several audience members visibly recoiled. Seth's expression twisted into disgust. "You're talking about serious allegations, Harry. Allegations with legal implications. You can't make claims like that without evidence." "Evidence?" Harry's voice rose to a shout. "You want evidence? I have 40 years of evidence. Recordings, documents, witnesses. The only question is whether the world is ready to hear it." A chill rolled through the studio. Suddenly, this wasn't family drama. This was a threat against the entire monarchy. "If you have evidence of criminal activity," Seth said tightly, "take it to the proper authorities. Not to late-night television. The proper authorities." Harry spat. "The same authorities who've been protecting these people for decades. The same system that let my mother die." "Seth, you really have no idea how any of this works." Seth inhaled slowly, clearly making one last attempt to salvage something from this wreckage. "I understand you're angry. I understand you feel betrayed. But what you're doing right now is going to hurt innocent people. Your children will see this someday. Your wife will live with the consequences of everything you're saying tonight." For the first time, Harry hesitated. The mention of his children pierced through his rage, but only for a moment. A colder, more calculated expression replaced it. "My children will thank me," he said quietly. "When they're older, when they understand what I saved them from, they'll thank me for telling the truth, for getting them out before the same system destroyed them too." "You're not saving them," Seth said, desperation edging his voice. "You're traumatizing them. You're creating a legacy of pain and division they'll carry for the rest of their lives." Harry stood abruptly, movement so sudden that studio security stepped forward instinctively. "Don't you dare lecture me about my children. You don't know what we've survived, what we've sacrificed just to exist." "I know this isn't helping them," Seth said, also rising. "I know this moment is going to follow them forever. You're burning bridges that can never be rebuilt." "Good," Harry said, eerily calm now. "Let them burn. Let it all burn. The world needs to see these institutions for what they are. And if my family can't handle the truth, maybe they don't deserve to be my family." The words hung in the air, poisonous and heavy. Seth stared at Harry, horrified, finally understanding this hadn't been a meltdown, it had been planned. "You came here intending to do this," Seth said quietly. "You planned this." "I came here to tell the truth," Harry said with a cold smile. "If that threatens your precious show, maybe ask yourself why you're so eager to protect people who don't deserve protection." "I'm not protecting anyone," Seth shot back, voice shaking. "I'm trying to maintain basic human decency. I'm trying to stop you from destroying yourself and everyone around you." "Decency." Harry laughed without warmth. "Where was decency when my mother was hunted by photographers? When my wife was driven to the brink of suicide? When my family cared more about reputation than their own son's well-being?" "I don't know what happened in your family," Seth said softly. "But this isn't justice. It's revenge." Harry's voice dropped to a chilling whisper. "Sometimes revenge is the only justice you'll ever get." The studio fell silent. Every camera operator, every crew member froze, transfixed by the sheer hate radiating from Harry. Harry straightened his jacket and turned toward the camera one final time, eyes burning. "To everyone watching, remember this moment. Remember how quickly the walls close in when you speak the truth. Remember how fast the protection systems activate." He looked back at Seth with pure contempt. "Thank you for proving my point." With that, Harry walked toward the exit. But before leaving, he turned back, his final words carrying like a curse. "This is just the beginning. The world is going to learn the truth about these people. And when they do, everyone who protected them, everyone who enabled them, everyone who chose comfort over truth, they will answer for it." Harry vanished through the studio doors, leaving utter devastation behind. The studio remained frozen, no one able to move or speak. Finally, Seth turned to the camera, pale but steady. "We're going to take a break," he said quietly. "When we come back, we'll have some music for you." But everyone in that room understood. They had just witnessed something that would be dissected, debated, and feared for years. A man had set fire to his own legacy, and nothing, not expertise, not diplomacy, not human decency, had been enough to stop him. The mask had finally slipped, and what the world saw underneath could never be unseen. Who do you think was right in this argument? Comment below.